Me and Anna, we go back and forth throughout the weeks talking, and we're gonna get it going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully, friends, my friends, or her friends, if you guys are watching, if you guys have any suggestions, please let us know.
Yes. Yeah. Let us know. Is anybody anybody watching? Hello, Infinity, Isaiah, kids. Okay, are you reading to my babies? If you're reading to my grandchildren, then that's an excuse.
There you
go. Okay, so I want to talk about what the Nation of Islam was like, a little bit about what the temples was like, what people's lives were like. So here's a quote about Malcolm X. Nobody from James 67X. Nobody could handle Malcolm. He had a brilliant mind. He was disciplined. I never saw Malcolm smoke. I never heard Malcolm curse. I never saw Malcolm wink at a woman. I never saw Malcolm eat in between meals. He ate one meal a day. He got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to say his prayers. I never saw Malcolm late for an appointment. Malcolm was like a clock. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Now, who said that exactly?
Oh, it's from one of his contemporaries.
Okay.
James, one of his colleagues. He could be and he was so demanding because he was so hard on himself. There was an element in the Nation of Islam of real problems of cruelty and brutality. Essential to the nation's functioning was discipline and swift punishment. Members were constantly urged to report to officers anything that constituted suspicious behavior.
Right.
It's kind of creepy. Under Elijah Muhammad's post-war regime, the nation developed a strict disciplinary procedure in which, for example, members were expected to eat only one meal a day, usually in late afternoon or early evening. Muslims who were judged overweight were technically in violation of NOI's dietary rules. Penalties imposed were usually time out, a period when the offender was barred from attending temple functions. They could also be silenced and banned from communicating with other members. In a 1955 lecture at a Philadelphia temple, Malcolm ordered the local leaders to purchase scales and to weigh the members every Monday and Thursday. Those who are overweight, he warned, will be given 2 weeks to lose 10 pounds or will be given time out.
Wow, like the men and the women?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. Now, okay, this is, I think, of the things that you might expect Malcolm X to be concerned with, this wasn't up there for me. Yeah.
Right. Because didn't they? I know. I've seen the movie. I've seen the movie Malcolm X. Have you seen the movie?
Mm-hmm.
So I know at that time, and I think they still are like that now. If you go to mosques down here now, they really like them almost like they treat it kind of like you said, like the military. You know, like if you're 10 pounds overweight, the military they do the same thing. You got to lose it, and they kind of pretty much force you to lose it somehow. They'll have you running forever until it just drops off.
Yeah. There's that, but there's also, again, and I just would, the values of people caring for, it's based in values of caring for oneself and caring for each other, and so that's getting really extreme, but I'm sure, that's extreme, but I'm sure that in many areas it wouldn't have been like that,
Right.
It's just and so that's
now. So that's one of your bad points to Malcolm X, you think?
I don't think good or bad. I find it fascinating that that Malcolm X would care about stuff like that, but he was he was a believer. He didn't ask anybody to do anything he didn't do himself.
Right.
Yeah.
And I noticed that's the key with everything. If you've done it yourself, or you would do it, you can get most people to want to do it because you've done it.
You can, but about some things, but
Yeah, some things.
Some things, but I don't know who was. I can't remember. Oh, who was it? We were. Oh, okay. Manny Marable. Okay, like here's somebody that. I mean, he wrote like we talked about this last time. He wrote like 12 books. Was chair of African American Studies Department at Columbia University. I'm like, wow. Some people are really super accomplished, or some people get a lot done. But I think it's. The nation. This was, also the troublesome aspect of the Nation of Islam of taking 10% of everybody's income.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Ooh, that's a very good amount.
Yeah.
I wonder if they still do that. I don't hear too much about them no more.
We don't. No.
There used to be one. We used to have one in Richmond.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's still there. And then there was a mosque in Oakland. But that was the one that got in trouble.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that one's still open or not either.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and that the mosque got they got in trouble for the same problems that were happening in Malcolm X's era. I mean,
right.
And that's, and there's a documentary on Netflix right now which is excellent. It's called The Keepers.
Okay.
And it's about, and I love this because it's more like citizen historians for me. It's about these women who live in Baltimore. They're retired, and a teacher that they liked a lot of theirs in high school was murdered, and they wanted to find out what happened. The teacher was murdered, and so they just started looking, and it turned out the teacher was killed probably because she was going to inform on a police. On a priest that was abusing kids, and so, unfortunately, just in so many, there's just this element in a lot of religions of just about anything can become a problem, anything become twisted around and stuff. But I hate at the anti-religion attitude that people have too, and so that's why I'm always like jumping in on that thing. So they were, they would, another thing was. Disciplined for spousal abuse. When it's like, well, that's good. I thought it was positive that in the 1950s they disciplined men for beating their wives.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's So those are some of the things about how complicated the Nation of Islam was, and there was all these, the mosques being built and a lot of like money being made, and there was elements of corruption, but it's just also amazing to see how it developed.
Right.
Yeah. That this was a movement, and it mattered to people, and it served the needs of a lot of people, and it's just amazing. Like, God, I think back then before going viral or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if they were able to go viral back then. It would have been off the hook.
I know. Yeah.
We getting the last ends of it, what I'm saying, after it went crazy. If it was viral back then, we probably would have, like you said, we probably would have heard about the Nazi thing.
Yeah.
Back then, everybody would have been like, that would have shook everybody up.
Yeah. It's, there's a really great book about the Defender, which is an African American paper in Chicago, and when the paper began, it was distributed by porters, because that were members of the unions. And so porters, the guys would make extra money selling newspapers, and they would also get subscriptions, but they would also get news tips to send back to the Defender. I mean, it's amazing. It was just how much happened just through the trains. So yeah, that's another really amazing book, because if you, I mean, it's just worth it, because if you could almost get sort of circuitous, because if you're reading about the history of an African American newspaper that has been covering African American history, it can get a little head spinning, because you'll be reading about, because I was reading about the reporters who covered trials in the South and how they risked their lives to go down there and